What's happening, everybody, and welcome back to the True Gamer Podcast, a podcast hosted by two gamers for you, the True Gamers. I'm one of your hosts, Eddie, along with my bro, the inverted gamer himself, Sheps. Bro, how are you doing today, you idiot? You did it the wrong way, didn't you?
I did. I went like this, but you're there. You're there.
So I'm just...
That's it. Quit. I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
I can't deal with these amateurs.
Amateurs.
Oh, bro, how you doing, man? It's
Yeah,
good to finally chat again.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
We had a big old chat before this about
we
life
do
stuff.
this so rarely.
Yes,
it's good to be back. Thanks for inviting me back.
I'm inviting you back to the show, to the house that we never meet at, you know.
Ever.
There we go, right there.
I'm good, man. How's things with you?
Things are good with me. There's been a lot of gaming, as well as busy. I've managed to squeeze in gaming, even though my life has gotten busier with like work and stuff like that.
Yeah. Good busy or bad busy?
No, good busy with just more work and whatnot. And it's not.
Which is unusual for what you do because you're a heating engineer.
We've just clocked into summer, and it's like, all right, lads.
In fairness, actually, it's
Fix
been
those
a
boilers.
miserable June up until this point.
I was gonna say,
My mum had the heating on about 2 weeks ago. She actually put the heating on, and I didn't make fun of her for it. I was in the house, and she was like, "I'm going to put the heating on." I was like, "Yeah, okay."
yeah, it is a bit nippy, actually.
Yeah, it was horrible.
It's just this week that it started to get
Yeah.
really hot.
Yeah.
Before that, it was like, we're in June, bruv.
We've had about a 15-degree jump in the space of a week. Yeah.
Have you seen the posts on Twitter? Obviously, one of the media outlets said something stupid.
Oh, the hottest May on record.
They're
That
like,
one.
it's the hottest it's June day in whatever night in whatever thing,
Yeah.
and it's like 27 degrees, right? 27 degrees is warm.
Yeah.
And in the UK, where everything's built to hold in heat, it's extra warm.
Yeah, especially here. This is miserable.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But Americans are like, quickly, let me just Google that. 76 Fahrenheit. Pff, you English folk are so weak. And we're like, you know it's different.
Yeah.
Stop
You
doing
do know
that.
it's different. You do know it's different. And not only that, I've had multiple people. So I know I'm friends with some South Africans, South Africa, and they're like, yeah, it's way different. It's way different here. My cousin came over. His girlfriend's from Burma, and they live in Thailand right now.
Burma, okay, yeah, cool.
Right? Is it Burma? I think it's Burma. Yeah. It's one of them. They all look the same to me. Different podcasts. I'm sorry. So they come over, right? And she's grown up with like 40-degree heat, tropical weather, and she's like, "This is tough. She's like, this is hardcore." And she's like, "I'm like, we know. I know. The only problem is we get 2 months of it,
Yeah.
and so it's not worth unless it's like this room to put in AC. And I still don't know why we don't do it because ACs can also do heating.
Yeah, they can do heating. And look,
I know this is a gaming podcast. We'll get back to it. Don't worry.
it's not that I've purchased AC, right?
Yeah.
It's an expense.
Yeah.
It's not the most expensive thing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, however much it costs to run your boiler, it's a little bit more in electricity. But again, that's for your comfort. This is for your comfort. These are all just things that we buy clothes for comfort. We buy shoes for comfort. We buy all these other things where we're like AC.
And the thing is as well, like the AC, you don't have to just use it all the time. Like at night, you know when those nights when it's like so humid you can't sweat. There's nowhere for the water to go.
Right.
And there's no wind, nothing. Whack the AC on.
You can get some decent sleep.
Yeah, innit? Or like get one of those room units. That's what I'm probably going to do. Like
Yeah.
500 quid just for those 2 nights because it's brutal.
I made a big mistake. I bought a split AC unit, so there's 2 units,
Yeah.
right? One's here and one's downstairs in the living room.
This is a gaming podcast, by the way.
Yeah, so I should have bought the third one so I could go put that in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Didn't do it. Biggest mistake of my life.
You're an idiot. And I know this. Do you know what you should do?
What?
Take that portable
I
unit.
thought he was going to say like and subscribe. I thought he was going to remember it early in the video.
One of us did. Hey!
Like and subscribe, guys.
Come on, we're gonna finally do this YouTube thing. No, I was gonna say, drill a 2-inch hole, thing, through your wall into Isla's bedroom. Just pump the exhaust into that,
There you go.
and then
She's
she'll
fine.
be warm, and you'll be cool.
The amount of days she wakes up in fucking sweat because she's a hot baby, and when she loves her covers
She's
on her.
always warm, yeah.
Oh, she just pops it on her. Then she wakes up, she's shaking. She's like,
It's so hot.
"Why is it so hot in here?" Anyway,
So what gaming have you been doing?
video gaming. I have been playing a ton of The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
So, and it's been getting cozier as well because, since we bought the cat likes to sit on my lap while I game.
Yeah.
So I've got the pillow there, the gaming pillow.
Yeah.
That goes around me like that. And then she sits like right in between and we're just like.
I'm more of a dog person.
Imagine Archie back in the day on your lap. Huge dog.
My dog was like, he was like 60 kilos or something. He was as big as, there's a picture of my brother, of him lying on my brother, and they're the same size. And my brother's a normal size guy. He's not a big dude, but he's like an average guy.
Average size human, 5'2", something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
right, normal size.
Yeah, normal size, yeah.
Unlike me boasting with my 5'6". But like
Ben is listening to this right now, laughing in all 6'8" of him.
yeah. There's a plane going past. What is that noise? It's just Ben laughing. Anyway,
Go on.
I'm more of a dog person because also cats can be dicks and they're aloof and stuff.
Yeah.
Freya's fucking sweet as anything.
Yeah, Freya is her name, by the way.
The only thing that I don't like is that, well, one, I'm allergic, but two, she blends in with that carpet. I would be terrified of stepping on her.
And cats have that thing where they want to be in your feet, and it's like, bro,
Yeah. What's that about?
Why you want to get kicked? Why is it you want to get kicked? Why is it you want to get stepped on? She's always on the stairs as well. And at night, if I get up for a pee or something like that, and I want to go downstairs, maybe have a drink, I have to fucking take my phone and my torch. I'm like, yep, there's a cat right there, of course.
So you've been
And
School of the Cat. You've been playing The Witcher.
It's true, School of the Cat. Now I've been playing The Witcher, and last week when we spoke about The Witcher, you was telling me about the serial killer mission, and I was just at the start of it. And in the podcast, I actually confused it with another side mission that and I was like,
because if you don't get the right guy, bodies stay there. Like as you go through Novigrad or wherever it is, you keep finding corpses, and you're like, no, that's probably enough.
It's probably something completely unreal. So let's talk about that because we had a funny text exchange about this, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, bro, I did the serial killer mission. I found it was so awesome. And you're like, oh, cool. What did you do? And I'm like, oh, well. So I went to the strip. Sorry, it was for those of you guys that don't know, Priscilla gets beaten up. And
no spoilers, bro.
Sorry, my
this game only came out almost 10 years ago. Oh, God, it is 2015. It's actually almost 10 years.
Yeah,
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's still amazing, though, isn't it? How well that game holds up. Yeah. It's I think games like The Witcher 3 and Baldur's Gate 3, they set a bar for a reason. And I don't think that's a game that will ever not hold up.
Yeah.
You know?
The only thing I will say that doesn't hold up about the game, but this, you know how I am really, I really feel any sort of dated mechanic and whatnot. Whenever I get on Roach, the amount of lag, like the turbo lag it takes for him to move, it's like, come on, Roach.
Yeah,
I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's been an
that's also the worst kind of input lag.
Yeah.
Where like I can handle things being slower, but where that's the sort of thing where you should be able to keep running, summon Roach, and just increase speed.
You whip up on him and go. Like when you get off, there's certain animations where you just jump off and you go. It's great.
You know how they did it in Ghost of Tsushima?
Oh,
where you can be running, call the horse, and then keep going. It's just slick. And obviously it's the best game ever made, but that's not the point. The point is that
it's unfair to compare.
Being in a rush and then being forced to wait is really frustrating. So I get that for sure.
So in this mission, Priscilla gets attacked.
If you're listening, we have some notes for you about the Witcher.
Well, if you want to come to us about your next project, the Polaris Witcher 4 project.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We'll sort you out, don't worry about it.
So
consultant fee.
This mission.
Priscilla gets attacked in like a vicious way. She gets her face beaten in, she gets a knife shoved in her throat, and her vocal cords are like possibly damaged and whatnot, which is obviously terrible because she's a singer, an actor and stuff like that. So this is a big thing for her. Dandelion's like begging you to try and like find out who did this, and then you go on the mission and find out. There's one doctor who's like, I used to be a doctor, I used to work at the university, but I kind of do, I kind of don't. I did a protest and I was fired and sort of stuff like that. But anyway, he's helpful, but you're sort of suspicious about him for a second.
There's definitely something weird about that.
Yeah. Anyway, you go with him to like a local morgue.
Also, don't you find him at the morgue? That's it. You meet him at a morgue.
You go to a local morgue, and there's another guy there who works at the morgue. The morgue, what are they called? The coroner? No, not the coroner.
Coroner.
Is it coroner? Okay, coroner.
I guess.
Let's say it is.
Morgue manager.
Morgue manager, general morgue manager of the morgue, which just looks like a dirty sewer. I'm not gonna lie.
It's basically that.
It's just like, I'm like, this isn't a good place to store anything.
Did you never do this mission like your first time?
I'm telling you, I don't remember a lot of this game. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I've gone to Skellige now, and I remember the burial and stuff like that. I was like, I get this bit now, I get this bit now. But then now everything else is just a blur. Don't know what it is. So you go down to the morgue and you speak to the morgue manager.
Yeah.
And he is like, oh, I used to teach this person, this man, this doctor that has been disgraced, and he gives him a bit of attitude as well.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't understand how you taught him when he looks old as fuck and you look young as hell. And I'm like, that's just weird, but whatever. Maybe it's just they didn't
graphics, 2015 graphics.
As I say, they didn't update his model or something like that, whatever it might be. I just let it slide. And went on. Examined all the bodies, saw all the things, blah, 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 claw marks, blood and stuff like that. We're like, okay, there's some suspicious stuff going on here. We go and do some more investigating in some other places, and we find out there's this one guy ran away, and we follow his trail back to a whorehouse, and he's all the way at the top. Apparently he's got a private session booked with some woman. You bust in and she's bound and gagged, and she's got gashes all over her, and he's got a hot poker that he's gonna like kill her with.
He literally, like, in the scene, he pulls it out the fire.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, he wants to kill her. That's part of his thing he likes to do, just kill women. So
obviously
on his side, completely understand.
It makes perfect sense.
And I'm like, and I get in there, Geralt's just sort of like, oh, so this is what you're doing, sort of like acting all smug. But he doesn't take any action. And something about him not taking action in that moment, like, because this woman's in danger, I was like, maybe there's a way to play this where, like, I pretend I'm on his side to get more information out of him.
Hey, give me that poker.
Right. So we're led to suspect that this guy is the guy that has been doing all of these killings, has been killing all of these people, and recently killed the mother of the Duchess of Tucson or whatever the fuck it is, whatever the place is. Because he was supposed to be the guy that we followed out. Something about him he just seems weird. Like he didn't kill this woman like he's trying to kill this woman like he's trying to kill the previous ones. Anyway, I'm like, so why did you do it? And he's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And like, why did you kill all these other people, and why are you like cutting their vocal cords, and like what's all this sort of stuff like that? He's like, it appears someone's trying to frame me. Let's sit down and talk about this. The man with the hot poker decides, hold on a second, I don't want to besmirch my name, so I'm just gonna lay this ugly bag of snakes out and tell you the truth and tell you what's exactly going on, because I don't want to put my name on these bad murders.
Did you go back and replay it the other way?
No, I just went this way, and I was like, and he told me, it was like, someone's trying to do it. Someone gave me instructions to do certain thing. That's why you guys followed me to where I am now. I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with that. Blah blah blah. The only information I have is that the guy gave me the information at this dock in Novigrad.
Yeah.
Head over there and maybe you'll find him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. But by the way, I can't let you go here and just kill this woman, by the way. Let's pull out the sword, cut him down. Cool. Woman's happy. She's safe and whatnot. Thank you so much. And then I go over to the docks.
Yeah.
I go over to the docks. It's the young morgue manager.
Yeah.
It's the young morgue manager, and it turns out that he's a higher vampire.
Yeah.
And you fight him, and it's amazing. He's got this like great monologue that he has. He's like, I've been doing this for centuries now. I've been doing this for ages and whatnot.
The only bit I don't like about this whole mission is that him being like 35, 40 and saying, oh, I taught this guy who's 70 and been doing it for 40 years. That's too, like...
That's the thing.
In your face.
If it wasn't for that, I think everyone would have not suspected a single thing about him.
It would have also been... It would have been more of a mystery to solve. But this young dude saying, oh, I taught that guy who's 70. And
he doesn't think anything as well.
Right. That's the thing. Like, he doesn't go, you haven't aged a day.
It's like... You look just like I was just like you was when I was 18, and I'm 74 now.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only bit I don't like about that whole mission, but it's good fun.
I kill the vampire guy, and I use all my signs and whatnot. I've upgraded my Yerden trap as well, so it like slows him down and shit like that.
Damage over time, that shit.
Great stuff. It was fantastic. Very easy.
The signs are fun when they're upgraded, aren't they?
Turns out when you play like a Witcher. Anyway. That was how I played it.
Yeah.
You had told me about this mission, so I thought, well, I'd love to hear how you played that mission. Go ahead and tell me what you did.
Yeah, I totally fell for it at the beginning and was just like, this is the killer.
The poker guy's the killer, clearly.
This is the guy. He's got a hooker right here, about to be murdered, and just got in a sword fight with this dude and killed him. And then the hooker yells at you. The hooker yells at you. She's like, why did you...
What?
Yeah, if I remember right, she's like, what did you do that for? He's a really well-paying regular. Something like that.
What?
And then you lose the trail because you have no idea about the vampire, right?
Yeah.
Or where he is.
Yeah.
And that's just it. And then every time you come back to Novigrad, if you go anywhere near the back streets, there's just a body in a new place. And there's nothing you can do about it.
People are just dying and you're like it can't be related to
It's
my
a medieval
mission.
town. It's probably the plague.
People just die, that's how it is. It's just like if I go to Poland and I ask, they'll be like, people just die in the back streets.
I want to say, if you investigate the bodies at that point, you then find he then goes, this one's been sucked dry of blood or something like that. And you're like, fuck me, there's a vampire. Obviously, there's a vampire.
No.
But then, I want to say there's like
slash first, ask questions later.
Yeah. Stab. What are you doing? Also, though, the thing is, I think you get debated because there is another like lower vampire also attacking people. It's complicated. I think if my memory is right, you get the wrong guy, you find the bodies, Guilt figures out it's a vampire, and then you can go looking for him. But it's like not a lesher, but it's one of those ones that's like all batty but not smart. So you find one of them.
That's a vampire one.
Yeah, you find one of them at night and you kill that, and you're like, I got the thing. And then the next time you come back to Novigrad, there's still bodies. You're like, these fucking vampires, man.
I just love the idea. You're like, slice. Job done, boys. Job done.
Also, because between you
we were just dying everywhere.
And the funny thing is, between you and me, I'm the more, not because I'm a freaking genius or anything, but I have that thing where I can be like, I think this is what's happening.
Yeah, you're good at picking out something fishy.
Yeah. And like the Acolyte, I think we discussed it. I would pretty much call the Acolyte from the trailer.
Yeah.
So far, from what I guessed, right?
Yeah, could be.
And then freaking here I am. I'm like, this is the guy. That's it. No questions asked. This is nice and easy one, guys. Wrapped up, tight as a whistle.
And what's funny is like we've had this constant debate about how I've played The Witcher in the past, where it's just
I'm like, you played
just
it completely
swords,
wrong.
no potions, no oils. I'm the better Witcher, and you're like, you're so stupid. That's not the way you play The Witcher. That's not even how a Witcher is supposed to play. Yeah, here you are,
being Mr. Keen Detective. Call me Sherlock.
And you're a Batman fan, apparently. Oh.
Hey man, look, it's not my fault if my cases are wrapped up easy peasy. We got the guy, put the charges in, another case closed.
Like, job done, lads, job done. Meanwhile, someone get a vampire getting sucking off some dude over here. I need the blood from the meat, from the meatiest part of the body.
Oh god, it's really teethy. It's probably nothing.
There's nothing.
You know, in games where like they're like, huh? What was that? But it's like the NPCs where they hear you. They're like, huh? Probably nothing. And they keep going. There was just me with this, just blinders on. Like, no, I found the guy. He was totally the guy. He was trying to kill a hooker in the whorehouse, and she yelled at me for killing him. And it didn't fit the description at all. And there was that guy that taught the 70-year-old doctor in the morgue. And he knew his way around knives and biology. Anyway, we got the guy. Don't worry, guys. Case closed.
This kind of reminds me of the you might have seen this like TikTok or Instagram video or whatever, and it's a guy going, oh my god, like Doctor Strange, I'm amazed, like meeting Marvel fans, Marvel heroes going, oh, Doctor Strange is amazing, like that's awesome. How did you get your powers? Like, well, lots of studying and hard work. Well, maybe one day I could be like you. Maybe. It's like Captain America. How did you get your powers? Are so awesome. He's like, well, that was an experiment by the military, a super soldier serum. I was like, oh, that's amazing. Yo, and he goes to one of their Cyclops. Cyclops, how did you get your powers? He was like, I was born this way. mutant.
Yeah. Get away from me, you scum.
Because for some reason in the Marvel Universe, it's like all these heroes are like
Yeah.
beloved. When it comes to the X-Men, though, they're like, die, scum. It's like, what?
I did see this, but the one I saw went one longer.
Go on.
And then it was like, oh, hey, Spider-Man.
Oh, great. I love you. You're amazing. Yeah. This is
In one of the, do you remember like the 90s cartoon of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
There's an episode where he actually has to deal with the fact that he becomes a giant, he's going to turn into a giant like were spider.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's hardcore. And he has to like find serums and shit. Sort of like, you know what they do with lizard and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like, it's really good.
But if you were born that way, though.
Right.
Awful.
Disgusting.
Disgusting human.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. When did you acquire your powers? A little bit after birth. That's fine.
It's fine.
As long as you weren't born that way, then it's okay.
As long as it's not natural, because that would be incredibly unnatural. Except there's a flaw in this logic. Iron Man, born with the superpower of money, same superpower as Batman.
True.
Best superpower as well.
True.
Of all of them, it's probably one of the ones I would want the most, to be fair. By the way, in case you guys hadn't noticed, there's actually not a lot of gaming news this week.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking just nerd stuff, pretty much.
Yeah. I thought we'd talk about maybe if there's anything that comes
Are you
to our
going to use the
mind about
title that
games.
I thought we should use?
What was your one again?
Mine was gaming is dead, and then brackets proof, brackets not clickbait. These are all different brackets.
Square brackets.
Emotional. And then
Arrow
curly brackets. Brackets.
Yeah, brackets.
That's what I
That's
thought
going to
we
be the
should call
title of the episode.
That's what I thought we should call it.
Anyway, I'm loving The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
It's just how much deeper I'm going into everything as well, and I'm picking up. Oh, by the way, so I don't remember what the consequences of this are. Maybe you can tell me in the future. But I got to Skellige,
Yeah.
and there was a guy who had a nithing. He had a nithing curse put outside his house.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember this, yeah.
Apparently,
You have to kill the Leshir or whatever it is in the forest, right? Is that this one?
okay, so I went a different route, and I may regret my decision.
There's no wrong decisions. That's the thing. There's no wrong decisions because there's no right decisions in The Witcher, which is why we love it.
So I investigated, and it turned out that the local herbalist or the alchemist, whatever her name is, she put a
the dump
curse.
truck.
Put
Oh, no, different one. Never mind.
she has freckles and what? She's quite.
This
She
is the
put a curse on him to because apparently he stayed with her when he was sick and when he was poor and stuff like that. And then the first chance he got to get a wife with this other woman, he left her, and she's been like bitter about it. And he put a curse, and his son is dying, so I'm trying to reverse it. And the guy goes, okay, I've got two ways I can do this. Either she can lift the curse herself, or I can turn the curse back at her. I just need to know her name, and that's where I go investigate, find out her name, and I write on the shaft, and then it all goes back to her. As soon as I did it, I was like, killing her. I mean, it's either the boy dies, who's completely innocent in all of this, or her.
Yeah.
I guess it should be her. And I went and did it, and she's now disappeared. I'm like, oh fuck. Immediate regret.
Yeah. She's a great merchant as well, if I remember correctly.
Well, she used to be.
Yeah.
God rest her soul. I don't know what's going to happen after that. Does anything else happen after that? Am I going to...
I don't think that one's too deep.
Okay.
Are you just going to miss out on, if I remember, and I haven't played it in a few years, it's not too,
if I'm going to miss out on a Lesher fight, that's going to be pretty upsetting to me. But
that could
there
be
are
a
other
slightly
Leshers
different mission.
as well.
Also, did you find the guy who's the werewolf? In not in Skellige.
The one under the tree? Wait.
There's a guy who's keeping stuff in his basement.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Cool. Spoilers.
Bro, what, bro?
Oh, what did you do with the druid under the tree? There's a druid under a village.
A druid under the village.
Yeah, so either you fight them and they're this weird monster globule thing, or you let them out and then this dark horse runs away and the village all dies from plague.
Oh, no, I know that mission, but I know it from a previous playthrough.
Okay, I haven't got that yet.
So I don't remember the details on it. It talks to you, right? Under the tree? Yeah. I don't I don't remember.
Talking of CDPR
exactly
games,
what it
have you
is.
played Phantom Liberty? Have you finished Phantom Liberty?
No.
Because that's on my list. I need to do that.
Do you know what it is?
What is it?
This goes back to my same conversation about PC gaming.
Yeah.
I'm playing it on PC,
Yeah.
right? I thought I got the gaming rig. I might as well
That is a sick rig.
max it out. There are just little inconveniences that for some reason the PC community act like they don't have.
Like what?
Like compatibility issues with like controllers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes the controller will come on, but then it won't connect.
I've literally never had this with my PlayStation, obviously.
Also,
I'm always with the...
I don't really know what settings to run it on. Like I tried to look up guides, but then
Yeah.
the guides are never tailor specific to obviously every type of PC out there. So I tried to go down like, oh man, but am I really losing something if I turn this thing off, or am I going to actually get a good enough
you mean in terms
FPS boost if I get this?
in terms of... Because for you, with that thing, you
Yeah.
can just turn all the settings to ultra. Maybe not ultra.
I was gonna say
but-
for Cyberpunk,
Yeah.
it's quite intensive. It
Yeah,
can
yeah,
get
yeah.
really mad. So, and because it's tuned to NVIDIA rather than AMD, which is what this is,
Right.
it's all a little bit different. I've turned up to max, and I think I get something like 45 frames per second.
That's way too low.
I was gonna say it is way too low, and some people I hear online they're talking about, oh, I'm rocking like 100 frames a second, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I've got the top AMD card. Surely I should be able to get that, and the top AMD processor.
There is a thing about like what structures you're running, like if it's NVIDIA or AMD, and like also what type of CPU and things like that, which I get from a tech perspective, but as console peasants, like
Master Race.
that's right, we just plug and play, and it just
Yeah,
works.
and-
I've had the dumbest thing, by the way. You know how
One thing before we just go,
Yeah.
if anyone is out there who does play on PC, who does have like some tips for me, or has like these settings to use, please send
because
them
of
my
your
way.
specific rig.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
Or who wants to help me out? Jump on a call or something.
But what I would recommend is, like, first of all the screen tearing and stuff like that, you turn all those settings off. You don't need the motion blur, like it's just gross. And then I think you can just prioritize the stuff you like to look at. So like
The strippers in the
exactly.
in the thing, yeah.
But this is the thing. So like shadows, I don't think they need to be super detailed. Right?
Facts, yeah.
I get ray tracing is great, but I don't give a shit about ray tracing. I care more about FPS, as we know. So I would turn it off. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying I would.
I really
Or
like my eyes to orgasm. That's the thing.
That's the thing, isn't it? So like, there's plenty of textures and stuff that you just don't. You as well won't. The opposite to the ones I care about, for example. Like you can just turn all of that down, and then keep the stuff that you are going to enjoy, and that alone will increase your FPS. You know, and then you also might want to cap your FPS. So
Okay.
there's two things. One, your monitor might not be. Your Windows may not be set up to run at full FPS, even though you've got the higher FPS screen.
Yeah.
And two, like my Apex, for example, my Apex Legends will run at like 140 FPS, but I cap it to 100 or 120 because I don't gain anything at 150 FPS. But it is more intensive on my computer for no good reason. And why be using all of that?
Also, I actually think my monitors are only 60 FPS. Because they were meant for video editing,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really interested in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I bought a 60 FPS one. So I might as well cap it at 60 then.
Exactly. Cap it at 60, and that will save your... Because it's going to prioritize certain things, and if it can give you more FPS, it will. But why have those resources going there to give you 90 FPS when you can only see 60 anyway? So cap it
Yeah.
at 60 and things like that. But a lot of it will be architecture stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of people probably sitting there going, I don't know what your rig is, so I can't tell you what the best settings for
Yeah.
an AMD running this with that are.
Just the best of everything. The best.
It's the best of all the
best
things.
of
The
things.
What was the graphics card? Is that 4080?
No, that's the Nvidia one. So it's an AMD 7900 XTX.
Okay.
People
I don't know
what
the
that is.
AMD cards.
Neither do I.
So,
That's the only one.
but I
know.
think that's a very good. I think that's compatible.
I think when we got when I won the rig,
Yeah.
I checked and it was the best one that they had on the
Yeah.
market, and I was like, well, the best AMD card then, because it was an AMD sponsored.
We've
PC.
got a 3060, I think.
In the thing
In
one,
the
yeah. 3080 actually.
Is it 3080?
3080, yeah.
which is a very, very good card. And when you won that thing, it made the streaming rig look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And the streaming rig is not a piece of shit. So it's very nice. It's very nice, and that is a beast. So I think the problem is probably, like you say, settings or it could be weird things like it could be the launcher you run it on.
I'm sure.
Do you run it through Steam or like?
I think there's probably going to be a bunch of these. This is the one thing that.
This is why
I'm not.
consoles are better.
This is why consoles are better. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go into my PC to streamline everything on the PC.
Yeah. No,
therefore,
just boot up into the BIOS.
I'd rather kill myself.
just learn C++ and code up a brand new operating system specifically designed for.
No wonder PC gamers are all miserable. Anyone who has to look at a terminal is miserable.
I actually really enjoy it.
That's why you're miserable.
It's true. It's true.
Anyway, I'm loving The Witcher.
Yeah.
It's actually made me a little bit more excited for the next Witcher game.
Yeah.
I see a lot of developers joining the team for the new Polaris Witcher 4 thing and whatnot. And it's getting me excited.
What would you do? What if you were going to make The Witcher? I think we've had this discussion, but it was earlier, like a year ago or more. If you were going to make Polaris, what game are you making? Polaris to me sounds like it's a Siri project. Personally,
I think it should be.
Siri's a great character.
I know that.
but gamers don't like female leads.
This is the dumb thing. It's like recently with the Acolyte TV show.
Yeah.
Obviously, Disney are all claiming sexism.
Yeah.
When Rogue One, for example, I know it's not your favorite movie, but
it's actually one of my least favorite movies of all
but if
time.
you go to aggregate websites where they get reviews from
I don't
audience,
understand it, but it did very well.
It did very well, but even audience members like it. So maybe we're outliers and whatnot.
Do you know? I thought you liked very well.
I liked most of it. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't. I had a weird feeling about it because I knew it was going to have a definitive end.
Yeah.
I don't know why that should matter really, but that's just my
because you watched Star Wars only the once, you've never rewatched it.
Exactly.
Because you know where it's going.
Anyway, I was like, people that's got a massive audience score.
Yeah.
But when there's pro points to disprove that it isn't all about sexism, they ignore that sort of thing. So if this Siri project turns out to be great, that's not evidence that people like good.
It's just a good game.
No, it's just a good game. We put it to the side.
Horizon, both games bombed because the female lead is also a ginger.
Exactly.
With the two worst groups.
The two fairly most hated groups.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. I think it has to be a Siri game.
I would like it. Because then you can have all the other characters come back.
Yeah.
As like NPCs.
It's a bit like how I say the next game should be the Sarah game in the Uncharted series. Yeah. Because I think it would be cool her to go out on her own, do what her dad did and stuff like that. Yeah. And then mum and dad appear sort of around about the second act, maybe close to the end. And they together as a family, sort of like a trio, let's go. And similar thing can happen with The Witcher, I think. I think they can just
the other thing is,
let's go.
People are going to, and the thing is, this is where it gets tricky because people complain about, that you're taking agency away from the female lead. But I don't see there's any problem with having Siri get rescued. Imagine you're in the game and you're done. That's it. It's the end. And then, boom, an Ard blasts down a wall and in comes Geralt and Yen.
Yeah.
So we found you, we found the clues, we tracked you down, and they destroy these things that you just couldn't cope with. Just because it's like a rock, paper, scissors thing. Siri's more powerful than either of them, but maybe it doesn't work. Maybe these guys are designed to capture her, but they're not designed to resist getting shanked in the head, with a sword.
Maybe.
And then Geralt and Yen go full cutscene, badass, don't touch our kid. Wouldn't that be sick?
That would be sick.
But it took agency away from Siri.
No, I don't understand. You go
back to being the main character.
I don't understand that argument because it's never takes agency away when it's the other way around, right?
I know.
So, there's a male main character. It's we'll bring in a woman now. But what if it takes away agency from the man? No one ever says that because it's not true.
She got rescued by a man. First of all, I just pitched Yen and Geralt because Geralt can't get there on his own, doesn't know enough magic.
Yeah.
And
also, has there never been a male character that needed help? Tons of times.
Also, like, wouldn't it be a fun little just fight to come in and get to control both Yen and Geralt? But at their max, you know, in The Witcher, even though you've spent 50 years as a Witcher, you start at level 1.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool to be Ciri? You lost. It's over. The guys hunting you, who are worse than the Wild Hunt, designed specifically to capture you and use you as a battery, whatever the frick the idea is. And then here comes full spec Geralt of Rivia, the Butcher of Blaviken, and like Yennefer of Vengerberg. Full spec, rage, you've kidnapped our daughter mode, and you get to take him over, and like you're just throwing nukes as Yen. Do you know what I mean?
Let me just say right now, what you're pitching is basically
A 10.
how...
I have an erection.
It's just our frame. You guys can't see it, but it's there.
The frame would have to be very low for you to be able to capture that.
We just zoom in and like, oh, that is a 10, apparently. You're
It's more of a
pitching,
napkin, but that's the forget about it.
you're pitching, it sounds like just like the moment that Superman comes back in Justice League.
It's exactly that.
Right in that moment, and it starts wailing on Steppenwolf.
Yeah, not impressed, but it's Yennefer and Geralt.
Yes.
That's what I want.
Yes. You know what? Unfortunately, now that I compared it to a Zack
can
Snyder
only be
movie,
made.
unfortunately, there's going to be... Sorry, it's done now. I've poisoned the water.
It's only haters now, and also it's too
It
close
was
to
great
being
until
a
I said
Superman
that.
game, so it can't be made anymore.
Done. There you go. Can't make a Superman. Anything, even if someone spoke about Superman in the same sentence, is done.
To be honest, I'm digging the idea of a Siri game.
I think
and then
so,
maybe, crazy idea, what if she was to teleport to a different world where they had chips in their head and flying horses, whatever she says.
And they do war from afar.
Yeah, wouldn't that be crazy?
I mean, what does that even mean? What does that?
I don't- I
what,
mean-
like some super futuristic, like
Technological society sort of
Right?
thing. Yeah.
what kind of weird stuff?
Weird.
You're crazy.
What
okay.
You know, I'm just throwing ideas out. They don't all stick. They're not all winners.
Right.
You know,
right.
I'm still genuinely angry about that.
Such a layup. They laid up themselves.
It was ridiculous.
Nah, that's not it.
Also, a cyberpunk Geralt and Ciri goes hard. Just the character design for that.
What's
would be
strange
amazing.
as well is that, like, even if they didn't want to do like a full blown mission, right? Which I feel like it was an easy setup.
Easy setup.
Easy
Also,
setup.
you could have it where you just have some cutscenes of like you see them
Yeah.
on like
Well-
CCTV going around the corner or stuff like that.
Well, the spectrum of things they could have done was, on one end, CCTV,
Yeah.
and maybe even like Hideo Kojima, you know, how he's sitting in the lobby and whatnot,
Yeah.
sitting at a badass
Yes.
bar and
Yeah.
whatnot, them just sitting there. That's the bottom end of the
Yeah, yeah.
spectrum. The top end spectrum is that there's this one really fucking kick-ass side mission.
Yeah.
Where you go meet up with this fixer, you go meet up with these other two mercenaries,
Yeah.
and they're badass. They're like Witcher-esque style, but cyberpunk themed clothes, and they speak the way they speak, and they go on, and you just go on this sick mission, and
Yeah.
it's like, yes, fuck yes, as a Witcher
Yeah.
fan, this is amazing. That's the spectrum.
Yeah.
And instead they went below the spectrum.
The other thing is like
How did you do
the
that?
CCTV. Look, the CCTV as well. That one is way below the actual bottom because it should have been a brain dance.
Right?
That's what we should have
Yeah.
done. And we should have been hearing throughout the game about like a slasher and somebody like attacking people with a sword, but like weird speech patterns and or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like looking for a girl with a scar on her face, stuff like that. And whether or not they're in the game, we should have been hearing that. So that us as the fans go, that's Siri. Girl with a scar on her face, carrying a sword, and a guy with grey hair. That's the only description they have. Man, that sounds so familiar. That should have been throughout the game, whether or
Yeah.
not they were in it. So frustrating. So annoying. Anyway. Do you want to know a weird gaming thing I've had? It's not even really gaming related. So I keep meaning to dust out or clean out my like PlayStation and the computer.
Yeah.
And what so stupid. What I want is an air compressor because I'm lazy. I want to buy an air compressor so I can just blow all the dust outside.
Yeah.
And so I've been putting it off because every time I go to do it, I'm like, what if I just get an air compressor?
But I should get an air compressor. Well, I don't have one right now, so I guess that's not happening.
It's so dumb. It's so stupid. But it'd be so much more convenient. I could just plug it in, take it outside, done. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be so much more convenient. So I haven't been doing it. But I'm also not going to buy an air compressor just to dust my computer and my PlayStation once every 2 years. Yeah. People are stupid, especially this people.
I got mine's a little bit more complicated. My keyboard's quite messy in the cracks, but also the keyboard keys themselves are quite messy. And I'm like, do you know what'd be really good? If I take off all the keys and I put them like in like a warm soapy water, wash them up, and while that's in there marinating, I can clean off the base part of it and it'll be all great. But then I'm just like,
what if I put them all in the wrong order?
I could take a picture to be like, but I'm like, oh, put it in a bag. It's just a bit long.
Breaking stuff's so much more fun.
So I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And it's fucking, I'm disgusted by it. It's not like got, I don't know, Coke on it or anything like that, but it's just like you see some black marks on keys that like you rarely use and you're like, oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
I'm like, damn. Oh boy. Talk to me about GTA 6 because I am looking forward to it. I'm not over the moon about it.
Yeah.
But everybody online seems to be, oh, this is going to make me jizz. It's going to make me jizz constantly. It's going to be a constant river of jizz coming out all the time.
The funniest thing is you'll see a post on like Instagram or TikTok or something, and it will be like a pig doing the biggest jump ever. And they'll be like, we literally got flying pigs before GTA 6. You know? Like, I saw this one. It was so funny. It starts out as like a squid, and this guy like karate chops it.
Yeah,
and it dies, and it goes from red to like completely clear,
completely white. Yeah,
you've seen this one.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to this guy with his black friend, and he goes whack on the guy's neck, and nothing happens.
Didn't happen.
And it's hilarious. And in the comments, people are like, this is like hilarious. This fixed racism or something like that. And then the next one down will be like, we actually beat racism before we got GTA 6. I'm like, bruv, GTA 6 is not that big. But the thing is, it will be big.
It will be.
What I'm most interested in GTA 6 to see if it does what, you know how Call of Duty, when we were playing it, the life of our enjoyment of the game decreased by about a month. From Modern Warfare 2 to whenever we quit.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So, like, played Modern Warfare 2. It was our game for the year. Played Black Ops 1. That was our game for about 9 months. And then Modern Warfare 3 was just crap.
Yeah.
But we still played it.
But it was the current COD.
Yeah, it was all we had. Then Black Ops 2, we played that for like 6, maybe 7 months. And we're just, man, COD's dying off. But obviously it's not dying. It's still selling, putting in numbers.
Yeah. Because
GTA has not been doing constant releases, there's more people that are looking for something new, and everybody knows of it. It's as present as Minecraft has been, and and Fortnite and everything. I'm just curious if it can hold up.
I think I'm very curious as well. Yeah. I'm curious about the longevity of it because it doesn't. I still haven't been able to figure out. Not that I'm the smartest man in the world. Yeah. Still not be able to figure out how GTA 5 is still selling the way it's selling.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the bit. I'm not so confused about why so many people play it because there's many things you can do with GTA.
Yeah.
But the fact that it still sells.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah. No, I'm.
2013, the original came out. So we're like looking at 11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
Still selling.
And it had 6 months. I think twice it's had about 6 months or something where it's been free.
Yeah.
Like you just download it.
And it blocks you from making another purchase again. Oh, but I'll make a new PSN account and I'll buy it again. Why? What are you doing? You think that would have limited it, but no, it didn't.
And people still buy new hard copies of it, which I don't get. I'm actually shocked that there are still hard copies that haven't been sold.
Yeah, like how
they're still printing it.
I was gonna say, are they still printing it? They must be. Like, because the vault should be empty now wherever they sold them, but clearly not.
GTA is it's just a different animal, isn't it?
That's the thing that I'm going to be most interested about. The game's going to be great. People are it's going to sell gangbusters on its first like 6 months or whatever. I want to know whether in 10 years time we're still going to be selling GTA 6.
No.
Surely not.
This is my prediction. 6 months in, people go GTA 6, not that good. And they go back to buying GTA 5.
Oh, God. Back to the meme, boys. We're going back to buying GTA 5. Go on.
The thing about it is, I do think it's going to be massive. It's not really for me anymore, GTA. Just unless the story's incredible.
That's the only part that I'm really interested in, to be honest.
I don't find the online for GTA engaging personally, but I know I get that people would, right? I get it. It's just not for me. So I don't think I'll be getting it, but I do think it will be huge. The interesting thing will be that Rockstar's had the whole online community, that whole thing with their DLCs and all that stuff running for so long, which they had to figure out in GTA 5 that it should be in place for GTA 6. So how they manage that will be really interesting. Because if they go too early adding content, that will fuck things up.
There's so many fascinating things about it. Because any of you guys who don't remember, because it's 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So when this game came out, the GTA the online was already told. They were like, "Yep, there's going to be an online mode to this," and it was delayed. I think it was about a year or something like that. And even when it came out, you couldn't get into any servers in there, mainly because it was one of the biggest selling games ever, and everyone and their mother wanted to get into it, and you couldn't get into it.
Also, 2014 is modern era, but it's also relatively young internet. Like the internet started in 96. The common use internet started in 96.
Especially that grand scale of online play as well. Because Call of Duty 6v6, and not really a big thing.
Having a console do it. Like most people had internet to a PC, even in 2014. Yeah. I mean, wireless is the thing, but the idea that you would have like hardwire your console into your router, even in 2013, it's still a bit like...
We had to beep that into people to be like, no, cables.
Yeah, exactly. And like the Wi-Fi, we have had it. Of course we had it, but wasn't good.
It's always something your mum bought, and it was the cheapest internet possible, so the cheapest router that came with the fucking thing
performant like that. And playing Call of Duty...
And it was put in a corner behind the sofa so the signal was blocked all the time.
God, every time!
Mum, it needs to be high up!
Yeah.
Even my missus does it, and that's proof that she's a mum.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's so
the Wi-Fi doesn't reach the back of the kitchen. I wonder why.
Maybe don't cover it in tin foil.
I don't want the heat to escape.
And I'm not trying to say like 2014 was the dark ages or anything, but that's just like the average person. The like you said, the servers just weren't in place for stuff like that.
They pretty much made it from that moment. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes.
The only other thing that was really doing stuff like that was things like Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. But COD was using, and I think still does, was using peer-to-peer. Because it's like someone got host.
Yeah.
Like that was a big advantage. If you got host, you could expect to have a very good game because you got all the right input.
And even then, and I know there are other games that like PC games that would do like massive online worlds and stuff like that. But again, like consoles, it was only ever like 6v6.
Yeah.
3v3.
Yeah.
Like Overwatch type shit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of basic to do. This was a huge thing. And then also when you incorporate a massive engine like the GTA engine where you could do all kinds of possibilities, and that needs to be simultaneously rendered on each one's console. That's mad. It was ambitious, and it took a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, but it got there.
And consoles are limited. You know, they're locked in stone. You know, so like this thing came out on the PS3.
Yeah.
Like, man, the PS3 is not a very performant machine. And like, okay, cool, the PS4's coming out, but you can have a look at a PS4 today. That's what this thing was working with. So it'll be very interesting to see. I'm really curious to see what Rockstar does with it. Because things like nurturing that online community, feeding DLC, but like, when do you feed? When do you add DLC?
Yeah.
Right? There's plenty of game to be had, leave people to do their things, but you need to time keeping people engaged without giving them too much too early and without waiting too long. So that'll be a really interesting.
I have an interesting thought. So GTA 5 came out in a very different time in terms of monetization.
Yeah.
It was a lot more accepted, I think, back in the day to pay for things a bit more.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the jump from $60 to $70 for the base game that caused people to really push back on DLC. Nowadays, you really get one DLC chance to put out there.
Yeah.
And it has to be a massive DLC, and it better be damn good, or else you're going to hear things like that. But back in like the 2013 days and stuff like that, Call of Duty map packs, for example, there was like 10 maps that came out afterwards, and they were broken up into like bits of like 2 or 3 maps in each one. You pay $15.99 each for those,
and people still end up voting for Nuketown anyway.
Right. And we didn't bat an eyelid because it was just the way things were back then. GTA, from my knowledge, from my experience from back in the day, they were notorious for really trying to wring every bit of money out of you. With every update that came along, there was like, oh, cool, we're doing mansions now. We're doing casinos now. Oh, you want to buy one of these mansions or casinos or strip clubs? Well, you got to put in real money in order to get those types of things. And no one said anything about it. I wonder if they can even do that in 2025 when it comes out.
I'm also expecting this to be the sort of game that has real world ads in it.
Oh,
like you see, if there's a football match on a TV, as an example, they'll have actual ads in it. Billboards with real ads in there. I would expect that to, at least for them to try that.
I could see it.
Which I'm not necessarily opposed to it. It's just got to fit. Like, for example, if I'm playing Dead Space, I don't want a banner ad to come up on my screen and be like, hey, try Gamer Juice or whatever, right? But if I'm playing
Gamer Juice right here.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm playing FIFA, I have a song.
It's a funny world, that.
But people that are playing FIFA, they deserve to have all of their enjoyment. Take whatever little is left. Like, on those banners, cool. Like, that's a good place for it.
Yeah.
First of all, it actually fits. It actually makes it more real because that's all those things are for.
And like a billboard ad in driving down PCH, for example, is it's kind of realistic. So I could see that happening. Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily opposed to it as long as it's not immersion breaking.
Yeah.
As long as it fits and
as long as it isn't as long as it isn't too real as well. Like, I don't mind the old Coke ad.
Yeah.
But when you're starting to be like,
having trouble getting it up.
Maybe we need to do that. Political ads. So like, maybe let's not go that far
Vote
as well.
Trump.
It's like, this might be a bit much.
I'm Joe Biden. I support this message.
It's gonna. God, could you imagine they just go, all bets are off. Anyone who wants to be in here.
Man, you'd get some crazy
Blue
stuff.
Chew.
You get some crazy stuff. The Bible says
you're all going to hell.
You heard about that evolution? Well, if we came from apes, why is there still apes?
Checkmate, atheists. God, okay.
That might make it even more funny, to be fair.
It might. I saw a funny post. It was like, what do atheists scream out in bed? Oh, evolution. Instead of like, oh, God.
That was very funny.
And then people are like, the buzz's like, we're allowed to take the God's name in vain because we don't believe in him. You guys shouldn't be saying that. And it's like, oh, shit.
That's a good point.
That's a good point right there.
That's a good point, especially considering most people that scream it have just huge amounts of post-nut clarity guilt afterwards. You should not be saying that. Yeah.
Terrible. True. I don't recommend it.
True. I have a question for you. Moving away. Are we done with GTA 6?
GTA 6.
You have been watching The Acolyte.
Yes.
Have we been finding it?
So, I watched the last episode that came out as well, episode 4 that came out yesterday. It's not great. There's these weird... Do you know what the weird part is? The weirdest part, in my opinion, is these long stretches of just doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be these things where I don't know if they think they're building tension when they're really not. There's like...
Oh, no.
Imagine like... There's this one scene, I'm not going to get to any spoiler parts, but they're walking from one place through a wood to get to a place.
Yeah.
And clearly what they've done is they've built a set, so everything in the frame looks like a wood.
Yeah.
Except you can kind of tell it's like a little bit shittily made, but whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And then they show them walking like around this rock, in between this like arch thing, and then around this tree. And I'm like, that was entirely too long of a shot, entirely too long, and there was no substance to anything here. This didn't teach me anything, give me anything.
Yeah.
Why are you showing me this? And they do it repeat like 5 times back to back of like a different rock and a different tree, and I'm like,
Are they significant?
no,
somehow?
they're not. That's the issue.
Yeah.
And every now and again, they'll have this one thing where like 2 characters stop and they share like 1 or 2 words. The words aren't particularly interesting what they've written there, and it doesn't further much to the plot. And then they move on. I'm like,
it sounds like
move it along, people.
It sounds like it's made. Do you know the term shoe leather in film? So you know when people are on the phone and they just hang up.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, the drop's happening at 6. Click. Right? But normal people would be like, okay, cool, see you at 6. Bye. Right?
Yeah.
It's because they call that shoe leather. The okay, bye, see you at 6. I'll have all the stuff. All of that, it's not needed. It doesn't add anything to the scene.
Okay.
So they just don't do it.
Okay, cool.
They go, I'll be there at 5. Click. Because saying bye, you hang up first, all that stuff, it's not needed. It's shoe leather. It's extra.
Okay.
It sounds like they're just making up these scenes with shoe leather,
Seems like it.
which is not ideal.
Yeah. And they've also done some canon breaking things as well. This goes into a bit of spoilers, so I don't know.
I'm not going to watch it based on the fact that from the trailer, my guess, and someone has told me this is true, but that's because I told them my guess, was that the main chick is an identical twin, which they basically tell you in the trailer.
Spoilers, by the way.
There you go, spoilers. They basically tell you that in the trailer. As far as I'm concerned, they told me that. I was confident she was an identical twin. Like, that's the big reveal.
Early on, at least, anyway.
Well, did you know that the Sith person is her twin?
Not yet.
Well, it's her twin. It's gonna be.
That's one of the theories, yeah.
Right.
I saw that at the beginning. I was like, is that going to be her?
It's but I get this from the trailer. Like, there's this scene where first of all, they make a big deal of like the mask figure, and then she does this thing like, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. Well, who else could it be? Maybe it's an identical twin.
It may not be, only because in this very last episode, you don't see them standing next to each other, but they're in the same wood.
Yeah. Okay.
But could just be clever editing.
The twins and the Sith person.
Yeah. Now they're not like in the same frame, but they're around.
Yeah. Okay.
But who knows what kind of thing is going on? Maybe it's like a bipolar thing. She turns into the Sith or something like that, and then she goes and does a thing, and then she breaks out of it. She doesn't even know it's her.
That would be really interesting if the twin was dead and actually she's like got split personalities.
No, the twin definitely isn't dead. The twin is definitely alive. They've been together.
Okay, cool.
But the Sith has never been with them like that yet. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But
and if we're
talking,
like, the dialogue I saw in the trailer was very wooden, and usually trailers are supposed to be highlight reels, basically, right? It's very wooden. There wasn't a lot to it.
I've changed who my most annoying character is now. Okay. That other guy, he said some things that were like, okay, all right, I can see what's going on with it.
The apprentice who's like just qualified.
He was just qualified. His... No, the
Trinity.
There's a Padawan who's all white, alien looking with like these orange stripes with these tentacles and whatnot. Okay. She's basically a British kid, but in the typical Londoner British
Does she
voice.
have a micro lightsaber to shank people?
She's probably an appropriate sized one. But it doesn't feel like she's acting. It feels like she's just talking. And I'm like, I know that in Star Wars, the British accent is quite cool. Yeah. Both for villains and like for good guys and whatnot, it sometimes can be quite commanding. But when you do the typical London accent, it's not commanding. No. The typical London accent. And that's all she does. And I was like, man, act a little bit. God damn it, act. Anyway, let me tell you the big thing that people have issues with and I have issues with. Spoilers, again, we're in the spoiler territory. The two twins are created by these witches on a particular planet by the Force.
Yeah, they use
made by the Force.
It's what I saw online, which I think this is the boiling it down and taking all the politics out. Is it's a coven of Force witches, which this is a thing in Star Wars canon. But then where they step out is that it's basically a lesbian coven, and they use the Force to make babies. Now, the only thing with that, from my perspective, being like pretty neutral, not caring about the show, is that this is supposed to be an incredibly potent, rare, forbidden knowledge, impossible task. Because the greatest Sith of all time, out of them, only one figured it out. And that's Plagueis, right? Because he had managed to find all the forbidden knowledge and all this stuff. And was incredibly powerful. And managed to like make it all work, right? If they're just doing that on a day-to-day.
That's the thing. I took it as like...
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I got this cough. I cannot get this frog out of my throat.
I took it as... If you're going to go down this route, it has to be super impactful and for a super important meaning in terms of the whole canon and the whole universe. Because one of the big things about Anakin Skywalker is that he was made by the Force.
He's basically Jesus. He's Space Jesus.
Space Jesus.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
If there's more than one Space Jesus, not really that big of a deal.
No, it's not big.
So if you're going to make another Space Jesus... make it super important, super integral for everything going forward, or if it's a prequel like this is set in the High Republic before, it's super important for everything going forward, and it adds context or it leads in something like that. It needs to be a big deal, or else you're like, well, that other thing also doesn't mean anything as well. The whole entire prequels and the original trilogy and then the things that were built off of that afterwards mean nothing now, in my opinion. Because you've just cheapened the whole idea of where he came from.
At least are these witches like monstrously powerful? Are these witches peak Anakin Vader, peak Palpatine? Like, oh my God! Like, there's a reason people don't come to this coven because they have Force storms in the sky, so no ship can get down unless they give you clearance and stuff. Like, are they planetary beings?
No.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
They are powerful. Like there's this one thing like you
Vader pulls a fucking Star Destroyer out.
I don't think that powerful. Nowhere near that powerful.
That's not cool.
They're doing some teachings, trying to teach the girls some stuff and whatnot, and they all have power of the command of the Force. By the way, they call they don't call it the Force there. They call it strings or whatever.
Whichever. So
another magic word basically. Right. And she manages to push two women back, and the two women are pushing her. And cool. Yeah. And then they do some chanting when they're like anointing the kids or whatever it is, and they pull some faint light from the sky, and she like holds it and then puts it in the child's face, and we don't know what that does, but it does some stuff. You're like, okay, spoilers again, they all get killed moments later.
Yeah, by what? I've seen
it seems like they get slaughtered by something. Now they don't show you exactly. They imply that it was one of the twins.
Right.
I don't believe it though. But they don't actually tell you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're not really that powerful then. And this was also being held together by laces, basically, that were just about to snap any second. As I said, it just broke the whole thing. It was, for me, I don't need Anakin to be, like, Anakin was an important character and an important force in the whole thing. And the way that prophecy arced over all of those movies to come to the point where it's like, well, the prophecy is going to destroy the Sith, just didn't say how he was going to do it. Everything was going to come crumbling down before he destroyed the last thing. That was a cool arc. By making these kids out of the Force, it's like, all right, you fucked it up.
The other thing also there was the villainy from Palpatine.
Yeah.
Because the thing that makes Palpatine so interesting is that he learned from Plagueis, learned all these incredible things, seems to be the one in possession of all this forbidden knowledge and the power to make use of it. and schemes and lays these 50-year-long plans. And you can just do half the stuff he was doing, which doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
It takes the stakes out of it.
That's the biggest thing. And they've also messed up some of the timing as well.
Okay.
There's one character, and I don't know his name because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. But there's one of the Jedis on the Jedi Council that we see in like the prequels, the one with the long elongated head.
Is that Ki-Adi-Mundi?
That's it. That's the name. That's the name right there. They've all got funny names. How am I supposed to remember them? He is in the 4th episode. And
sick. Wait. Okay.
He's in the 4th episode, and
or is it one of his species? Or is it him?
That's the thing. People thought it was. They were like, it must be another one of his species. But in the credits, it says his name played by. Okay. And I was like, okay.
Okay. I didn't know he lived that long.
What's interesting about that though is that in the prequels, he says the Sith have been extinct for over a millennia. Whereas a couple centuries is 1,000, isn't it? A couple decades earlier, he's there.
How long before is?
It's only like it's not long before Anakin is like found and whatnot, and everything goes like that. It's before the fall, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not that long ago, so maybe like within 100 years or something like that. And he's like, and now there's this like Sith that's appeared. So
is it known to be a Sith, or is it just a dark side?
In this episode is the first time they actually see the Sith. Okay. And I mean, pull out a red lightsaber, is all dressed in black. I think it's the Sith. We haven't had confirmation just yet. But if it turns out to be this is the Sith, then it's like, okay, so then you've already broken the continuity here already. Like, we've got conflicting statements. Anyway,
I've seen complaints of things that I don't really care about. Like, I don't care about, for example, I think the main twins are black, stuff like that, and the witches are a lot of a mix.
The main mother woman, she actually didn't birth her, but she's black. Well, the one that did was an alien. Yeah. So it's weird that she didn't come out as an alien. That's the weird part.
That's strange. The one that I have seen that I guess would quote unquote bother me the most, but I also don't really care, is there's a fat Jedi. There's a fat guy who's a Jedi, and somebody goes, I saw a tweet, and they were like, this is the most immersion-breaking thing. Like, all this other stuff is fine, but you're specifically a Jedi Knight. You're supposed to have self-control. You're supposed to be,
one more Twinkie.
Sword fighting, and,
just one more Twinkie.
Watch this guy force jump anywhere, sort of thing. Like, and I was like, you know what? I don't really care. But of all the complaints, this one makes by far the most sense. Like by far the most sense. Like, it's a good point.
Learn to control your urges.
See?
Oh boy.
So that I thought was funny, but I think a lot of it's just complaining. Feels like it's just going to be a bad show.
Yeah, there was one thing that so they get the kids when they find out the kids are awesome. The Jedi go to the planet where the kids are, and Force-sensitive kids are banned. You can't have kids and train them outside of the Jedi Council.
They kidnap your children.
So they take them.
They're the good guys.
They're the good guys. They take children away from families. Anyway, so they go, it's illegal to have Force-sensitive kids and train them and whatnot without the Jedi's permission and whatnot. And they're like, trying to say no, but they know that they can't because they're the Jedi, blah, blah, blah. So they go, at least let us take them so we can test them in our ship, which is just over the way. They agree.
Midi-chlorians?
They do they don't say midichlorians, but they do the test. One of the Padawans comes along and takes a blood sample, and I'm like, midichlorians, we won, boys, we won.
Do you know what?
They made it back.
After all of this, I'd take midi-chlorians if we can get rid of the acolyte. I'll take it.
They do the test thing where they're like, you know what they do with Anakin, where they hold up the thing and like, tell me what you think is on the thing. And the kid tries to deliberately lie and like says like, oh, it's a building when it's a bunny rabbit. Oh, it's a ship when it's a cup or something like that. And in that moment, they don't, I can imagine the whole thing being done by Ewan McGregor,
and Kid Anakin.
kid, and well, I'm thinking of other Jedi things and whatnot. I'm thinking
Like Qui-Gon.
Samuel Jackson, thinking all of those sitting around, and they do it in such a cunning way, and they get the truth out of the child in such a cunning way. Instead, they just make the child be a stupid child.
Yeah.
He's like, she says, oh, it's a building, and he's like, correct, even though it's not.
Yeah.
And then they go on to the next one and goes, correct, and then looks over to the other Jedi, and the kid's like, no, it wasn't, it was a bunny. Oh. It's like, that seemed like a little bit of a cheap way to do it.
The same kid.
So
the kid that knows specifically that he's lying to avoid them knowing, that's not good writing at all.
I was like, I understand a kid could probably say something stupid, but it would have been way more interesting for the Jedi to outsmart the child, to show like, this is how intelligent we are.
But kids are not geniuses. But a kid that goes, if I get these right, I'm going to be taken away from my parents. I don't want that. I'm going to lie. And then when they believe the lie, immediately, like, kids can hold a lie. So I don't buy that. However, I agree with you. If like Ki-Adi-Mundi had gone, really impressive that you managed to get the order and then given the correct order. And the kid went, well, you know, it's like, I was guessing. And it was like, but how did you know the last one was a rabbit instead of a house or something like that? And then get the kid to accidentally fall into the right pattern.
Or even like, a bit, you know, like how Yoda has like a decent speech and like senses within the child. It's like, I sense a great deal of confusion. Something like that, see into her mind to make.
Do we
like,
honestly think
we
Jedi
can see
Masters
everything,
or even competent Jedi can't tell that a child's lying?
Right. It just seemed anyway. Anyway,
they should have gone, okay, got them all wrong. The kid goes out, I'm safe. I got them all wrong, just like we practiced. And they go, first of all, he's lying. And the other one goes, yeah, you don't need to know that. He got every single one wrong, which is, we did 20 tests. He should have, out of 4, he should have got at least a few correct.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible to get them all wrong unless you're getting them wrong on purpose.
It's all...
That would have been a better version of the scene. Come on, man. But
it's still just a bit of a bad feeling, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just cheap. It's cheap is what it is. No, not cheap, sorry. It's lazy. It's lazy is what it is.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
It's sad.
The acolyte could have been very cool.
There's still more episodes to go, and I'm determined to watch it all before I fully write it off. But it's not great so far. There's just a lot of.
The problem
just
is with all this is bad. It's like you see light at the end of the tunnel. Like Reva had really good scenes in Kenobi, but the problem is it was Kenobi show, and they forgot that, you know. And Reva could have been great, but they didn't let her stumble enough, you know, because they're afraid because it's a black woman, right? And they could have just had her be a great villain, and then we would have liked her. Like some of the most beloved characters, almost all of them are villains. Like in most people's top 5s are going to be at least one of Darth Maul or Vader, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Kylo, and then it's going to be a mix of the Jedi. They're some of the best characters out there.
Yeah.
So make a cool villain, but they're afraid to do it. And same with this stuff is they're afraid to have characters fail and not be special. And the way they made these characters special was by like adding lists to all the different things that make them unique.
Yeah.
Rather than just making them unique. Because, for example, I think it's a good version, a good comparison. Darth Maul has like 4 lines. Not even that. And he's one of the most iconic Star Wars characters and one of the most badass. Now, how do you make something so interesting out of 4 lines? Because the guy's got character.
Yeah.
Right? He's in the right place, he acts a certain way, and he's just intimidating. He's awesome.
What was I was speaking of villains and Star Wars and whatnot. You know Ubisoft are making that Star Wars Outlaws game.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is the villain going to be in that? Because the main character isn't like, at least we don't think so, like a Force-sensitive Jedi of some sort or a Padawan or anything.
Yeah, not supposed to be.
It's supposed to be like a Han Solo type character. Now, as much as I loved Han Solo, we didn't follow really Han Solo in all of the movies. It was a Jedi story, and Han Solo was a great character in it. So what's going to happen there? Because she can't really fight off with Darth Vader.
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all.
She can't, like, oh, Darth Vader's here. Well, I guess we're all dead.
I'll maybe shoot him. I guess.
That's worked in the past.
Yeah, that works. The thing is,
Sorry, in the future, because it happens in the future.
Yeah. For a Han Solo-esque character, you have two options really, which is other villains, like other gangsters, and probably a few of them, like, you know how we meet Han Solo in episode 7, where he has like debts from 5 different things and they're all coming to collect?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Or the Empire. Or whichever organization's in control. But it's still, like, we've seen that story. It's Han Solo.
Yeah, how long can you last? But even Han Solo, this is the thing. Every story, even when it comes to Han Solo, when it comes to The Mandalorian, eventually we get back to lightsabers and Jedis and the Sith and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's the cool part of Star Wars everybody really likes.
The laser swords with space wizards.
So what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I don't know. I'm really
It'll be
interested
very
to find
interesting,
out.
but I also, again, I'm concerned they're not willing to let this character not stumble enough, so they just make it a Han Solo where everything works out for some reason. Where Han Solo stuff does not work out. He makes the best out of failing situations. That's what makes him interesting.
Here's the thing: if this was the same project, so same trailer we got, but it was made by CDPR, I think they would probably do a better job. They'd do a character with a bit more flaws, a bit more humanity to them. If it was a character done by maybe Naughty Dog, same thing, I would think.
Yeah.
However, because it's Ubisoft, and if it was EA, for example, I don't think they would have the balls to do a female character that's human.
That has flaws. And like I get the impression this person is going to have these debts with gangsters like the Hutts and stuff because their family was sick and they needed to take out a loan or something like that, versus they have a crippling gambling addiction. Something like that, right? It's not compelling to be told, this person's good because they took out a loan from the worst criminals on the planet because their dad was sick. That's not a very great, compelling story. What would be compelling is finding out that, they did a job and it went bad, and then the Hutts made them work for them because they're impressed, but they failed, so they're under the thumb of the Hutts. So that, and now that they keep doing jobs but ending up further in the hole and stuff like that, like failing forward sort of thing, but never actually climbing out of the hole, and then finally has an opportunity to do it all, but doesn't pay off their debts because that's what a good person would do. Leaves their debts because they're a freaking, you're not a lovable rogue if you're just the good guy.
Yeah.
Right? And Han Solo is not just the good guy. He ends up being a good guy, but even at the very end, he like the final few episodes, he's not a good guy. He's looking out for his best friends. He's looking out for Luke.
Yeah.
He's not on Hoth going, oh, guys, we should fight the Empire. Like, I'm going to go out looking for Luke because he's missing, as I would do for anyone else. He's like, oh, no, it's Luke? Cool, I'll go.
Oh, it's unnamed Resistance Fighter
3.
Yeah, he's
well,
dead.
guys, we need to mobilize everybody. You're like, no, it's Han Solo.
He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Not good. But so, like, without those flaws and those things that make Han Solo very obviously not the best kind of person, he wouldn't be the best kind of character.
Yeah.
And I think they are afraid to do that with these agenda. I think there are agendas that they're trying to push, and the worst thing is Disney was always better at doing that when they weren't trying so hard.
Yeah, agreed. I did. Oh, so let's not get into the politics for that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's never a good thing and whatnot. And I felt like we've spoken fairly good anyway about all of these topics.
Would you recommend that I pick up The Acolyte and start watching it?
No, it's just not good enough. That's the problem. And
are you up to date on The Boys?
I am. I did. I watched the last episode yesterday, which we're going to talk about on the Conversations podcast.
Okay.
You guys should tune in for that as well. Conversations After Dark. Go search that out on YouTube and you'll be able to find us there, which we're going to record right now, actually.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys for tuning into this random episode of the True Gamer podcast.
There was literally no news.
I was looking through and I was like, that's kind of interesting. But
my bot that takes those C articles from GameSpot, it was like there was a Simpsons article about Marge.
That's how bad it is out there.
Yeah.
It was like, Simpsons.
I think one was an e-bike, and I'm like, man, this is rough.
Woo!
Damn.
It was a bad week. What it is, it's always like this after like E3 or something like that.
Everybody was saving all the news for that.
It blurted out there, and then they can relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
And the biggest news was that Nintendo and Sony are not going to be at Gamescom, and I'm like, that's not
news.
It's not news. It's really not. It's just like okay. It should, when journalists have to stoop to that level, then it's like, oof.
Journalists stoop all the time.
They're always down there in the
for
gutters.
journalists, is like, man, even for me, this is that's bad.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We'll catch you guys on the Conbrosations podcast. If you want to go check us out. And bye. Superman punch.
It's a good thing you do the sound effects every time.
And no one knows it's a big explosion.
I still think you should edit in like the GIF, but without still with the square background, you know,
with the green background.
Yeah.
Big mushroom cloud. Like they dropped on your favorite people. Oh,
it would have been good if you didn't stumble.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not that good at talking. You see, it's a great thing I have a podcast.